So, I recently had to deal with something no parent should ever have to. My autistic son got slapped by a crazy Linda, and then she tried to have me investigated. The reason? Because I told her the HOA needed to shut down, but the only thing that actually got shut down was her reign. Let me start from the beginning. Before we dive in, let me know where you're listening from today. You ever walk into a neighborhood and think, wow, this place looks way too perfect to be real? Yeah, that should have been my first red flag. The lawns were trimmed like someone had used laser levels, and tweezers, beige houses, and beige rows. Mailboxes identical down to the chip in the paint, and the HOA rules, so specific. They had regulations on bird bath orientation, but at the time, I wasn't looking for flaws, I was looking for quiet. I'd taken a step back from my federal fieldwork to take a safer role desk. Dart badge. No guns. No adrenaline. I wanted Noah to have a place where he could just be a kid. Noah, my son, 11, autistic, big on rockets, dinosaurs, and the kind of facts that make you Google things at dinner. His idea of a good time is drawing star systems in chalk while narrating spaceship specs under his breath. Noah is soft-spoken, kind-hearted, and sunshine and sneakers, which made him enemy number one to Linda. We met her 2 days after moving in. She showed up on our porch in tennis whites, with a clipboard and the energy of someone who hadn't been told no since 1993. Linda Hart, she chirped. President of the HOA, just popping by to welcome you to the community. She smiled, like her teeth were auditioning for a toothpaste ad. Noah peeked from behind me, clutching his favorite plush velociraptor. Linda glanced down, blinked once, and went right back to smiling at me, no greeting, not even a nod. We really value order here, she said, eyes flicking to our recycling bin. Routine, peace, and quiet. I'm sure you understand. I did. I understood perfectly. The first violation notice came 3 days later. Sidewalk obstruction, it said. Noah had drawn a chalk galaxy in front of our house planets. Stars. A smiley-faced Pluto giving a thumbs up. Apparently, Pluto was threatening neighborhood stability. We washed it off, not because I agreed, but because Noah looked up at me and asked, did I mess up? Should I have drawn flowers instead? He didn't cry. He never cries. He just folds into himself, like someone dimming a light. You didn't mess up, I told him. You made something beautiful. Linda just doesn't understand space. He didn't laugh, not even a smile. After that, the violations came in weekly. Our grass was too long by ½ an inch. The trash bin was visible from the street for 12 minutes. Once, I left the garage light on overnight and got a warning about light pollution. Funny thing was, our neighbors got away with everything short of arson. But we were under a microscope, or, more accurately, a telescope. The message was clear. Linda didn't want us there. Or, more specifically, she didn't want Noah. I kept my cool until the bird feeder. Noah had built it himself, a rocket ship-shaped feeder with glitter paint and LED lights. We put it up in the front yard. It lasted 48 hours. Smashed, not fallen. Not broken by wind, smashed. Noah found it first. He stood over the wreckage like someone had killed a pet. Maybe it was an accident, he said. It wasn't. That night, while walking the dog, I heard Jacob from 2 doors down whispering to his sister. Miss Linda broke it. She said it was junk art. The next morning, I was putting groceries in the car when I heard the slow, deliberate heel click of suburban dominance. Just so you know, Linda said, approaching like a nosy shark. Chalk can stain concrete, and that birdhouse was visually jarring. I turned to face her. She was in a tennis outfit again, still no racket. Which neighbors complained? I asked. She smiled sweetly. I'm not at liberty to say. Let me guess. I said. You took a neighborhood vote, and you were the entire electorate. Her smile widened. We just prefer predictability. Children like your son can be overstimulating. To who? You. To the community. Noah stepped into the garage behind me. Linda's eyes twitched. He's quite the energetic one, isn't he? He's a kid. They tend to be. Not all kids, she said, and walked off. That night, Noah asked, why doesn't she like me? I didn't have an answer, not one I wanted him to hear. We played along after that, waved politely, nodded, kept to ourselves. But one day, I caught Linda standing across the street, watching Noah draw with his chalk. She wasn't annoyed. She looked offended. And that's when I knew this wasn't about lawns, or mailboxes, or bins. It was about control. And Noah, with his joy and quirks and uncontainable light, he didn't fit in her world. Linda wasn't winding down. She was winding up. And the next move she made wouldn't target Chalk. It would target him. I told myself it would blow over, that she'd get bored, that this was just a turf war over sidewalk art and grass height. But Linda hadn't peaked. She was escalating. And next time, she wouldn't send a letter. She'd come for Noah in public. And she wouldn't use her words. She'd use her hands. It started with a mailbox dent, barely visible, probably from a kid's bike or a delivery driver, with the aim of a blindfolded giraffe. Linda made it a federal case. A letter showed up that afternoon, not an email, a literal folded, sealed document, hand-delivered by one of her mini-me HOA volunteers. Dear Mr. It began, per section 4.7 of the HOA Exterior Uniformity Guidelines. Visible damage to community mailboxes must be addressed within 48 hours of discovery. Failure to comply may result in fines or appearance before the board. You'd think I'd crashed a U-Haul into a national monument. I laughed. Then I noticed Noah reading over my shoulder. Are we in trouble again? He asked. Again. It broke my heart. That's when I realized how much Linda was already getting to him. Noah had started keeping tabs on our violations, not because he cared about lawn length, but because every letter from the HOA made him nervous. Like we were one infraction away from being kicked out. Like he was the problem. He started asking questions like, should I not go outside today? Does Linda think I'm loud? Do I have to wear shoes on the porch? That last one gutted me. Noah doesn't like shoes, they feel like sandpaper to him. He's all about socks and sensory comfort. But now, he was willing to tolerate discomfort, just to keep Linda off our backs. That's when I started noticing things I'd missed before, like how Linda's son, Tyler, had developed the kind of smirk you only see in TV villains. He was about a year older than Noah, and exactly the kind of kid who peaked in 7th grade and never recovered. Tyler rode his scooter past our house every afternoon, and by past, I mean right up onto our driveway. He'd swerve close to Noah, spit a sunflower seed at the sidewalk chalk, and say things like, "You gonna cry about that, space boy?" At first, I held back. I told myself it was just tween bravado. Linda was bad enough. I didn't want to escalate things with her, kidda too. But then Noah stopped drawing altogether, and one morning, I found his chalk hidden in the back of the kitchen junk drawer, like it was contraband. So, I walked over to Linda's house calm, friendly, full of, let's be civil energy. She answered in a silk robe and sunglasses, like she was on set for Desperate Housewives, HOA edition. "Can I help you?" she asked, flat as week-old soda. "I think your son might be bothering mine," I said. "Just wanted to clear the air before it escalates." "Boys tease," she said. "It builds character. My son is autistic. Then maybe he should be homeschooled." That moment, that was the first time I ever had to consciously unclench my fists in a conversation. "Linda," I said, "if your kid can't keep his scooter on the street, the next call I make will be to the police." She tilted her head. "Are you threatening me?" "No," I said. "I'm warning you." She closed the door in my face. And just like that, the gloves were off. The next week, we got 4 notices from the HOA. One for excessive porch clutter. Noah had left a cardboard model of the Mars rover outside overnight. One for decorative lighting. Not approved, he'd added 2 battery-powered LEDs to his rocket feeder, the replacement version we'd rebuilt together. One for unsupervised minor playing in front yard. This one came with a photo attached. Yeah, Linda had taken a picture of Noah from across the street, labeled it Exhibit A, and that was the line. I went full dad mode, pulled our ring cam footage, made a spreadsheet, started a file. Linda didn't realize it yet, but she'd walked straight into an intelligence-gathering operation. Noah didn't know any of this was happening behind the scenes. He just knew that his world was shrinking. He started sitting on the porch in silence, no drawing, no books, just watching, waiting, until one afternoon. He didn't come inside when I called. I found him around the corner, sitting on the curb near the community mailbox cluster. He was staring at a crumpled drawing in his lap, a starship, ripped down the middle. "Tyler took it," he said without looking up. He laughed, said I draw like a baby. I sat beside him, didn't say anything right away. "It's just paper," he said quietly. I shouldn't be upset. Noah, I said. You're allowed to be upset when people treat you like crap. He didn't laugh, but he didn't flinch either. Are we going to have to move again? He asked. Not a chance. 2 days later, the school called. Noah had been involved in a confrontation. The details were vague. They used words like misunderstanding and social challenges. Translation: Tyler shoved him in the lunch line, and Noah spilled his juice on Tyler's designer hoodie. Noah apologized. Tyler didn't. Linda showed up at the school before I did and tried to frame it as an attack. The principal, bless her clueless heart, tried to mediate by offering mutual behavior agreements. Perhaps both students could agree to maintain distance. No, I said. One student is harassing the other. The solution isn't distance, it's accountability. Linda sat in the corner of the room, arms crossed, like she was attending a trial for someone who scuffed her Louboutins. Your son doesn't seem to thrive in group environments, she said. Some kids, they need special spaces, like padded rooms, I asked, or fenced-in yards with HOA signs. The principal cleared her throat. Let's stay constructive. I am being constructive, I said. I'm constructing a record, and so far, it includes harassment, stalking, and discrimination. Linda smirked. You're awfully dramatic for a man with a recycling bin violation. I didn't answer. I just looked her dead in the eye and smiled, because the game was on that weekend. We had a community cookout, one of those mandatory fun events where neighbors pretend they like each other while overcooking hot dogs and judging lawn furniture. Noah didn't want to go. I promised we wouldn't stay long. He wore his NASA hoodie, brought a little notepad where he'd started sketching space-based designs again. I took that as a good sign until we saw them. Linda and Tyler. Tyler was tossing a football too hard, purposefully. Every throw was accidentally just a little off, aimed near Noah's legs, his drink, his sketch pad. Noah flinched with every pass. Then Tyler yelled across the lawn, "What's up, Space Cadet? Still crying about your spaceship?" I stepped forward. Linda intercepted me. "Boys will be boys," she said. "So will consequences." She didn't like that. Her smile cracked just a little. "You know," she said, "maybe you're just not a good fit here." "You don't get to decide that," I said. She leaned in slightly. "I decide more than you think." And that's when I realized this wasn't about chalk or lawns or mailboxes. It was about breaking Noah down quietly, legally, on paper. Linda wasn't trying to punish behavior. She was trying to erase my kid. But then came the school assembly. And Linda, she wouldn't hide behind letters or HOAs, or her smug little smirk. Not this time. This time, she would step onto a stage, and, with a room full of witnesses, she would cross the line. School assemblies are where hope goes to die. Fluorescent lights, folding chairs with the structural integrity of a Pringles lid, kids squirming like caffeinated eels, and that constant buzz of chaos, barely contained by teachers who ran out of enthusiasm 2 career changes ago. I didn't want to be there. Noah did. It was STEM day, every student presenting their science project. Noah had spent weeks building the Astrahab 7.A Mars base made from recycled materials with solar panels, a hydroponic garden, and tiny astronauts made of printer paper and hope. He was proud of it, and nervous. The good kind. The kind where he paced the kitchen muttering about radiation shielding, like he was prepping for an actual launch. Before we left, he looked up at me and said, "Promise you won't leave your seat." I promise. We got there early, middle row, slightly left of center, best view of the stage. He held the box in his lap like a sacred relic, and across the aisle, Linda Hart Queen, destroyer of chalk galaxies, mother of the decade's most punchable middle schooler. She wore a beige sheath dress that matched her moral compass. Tyler sat next to her, already bouncing his leg with smug energy. I ignored them. Noah's name was called. He stood, took a breath, walked toward the stage with the box cradled in his arms. He placed it on the table with the care of a museum curator. "This is the Astrahab 7, he said into the mic. "It's designed for long-term Mars colonization. It uses solar power and regolith insulation." A woman in front of me whispered, "What's regolith?" Noah answered her without missing a beat. He talked about shielding from radiation, food, sustainability, closed-loop oxygen systems. Every word had purpose. His voice trembled, but he held the room. And then Tyler, he stood up. walked along the edge of the stage like he was heading to the bathroom, and accidentally shoulder-checked the presentation table. The Astrohab 7 collapsed crack. Snap. Solar panels bent. The hydroponic dome popped loose. Noah froze. The gym went quiet, save for a couple of confused murmurs. He looked at the pieces on the floor like they were parts of himself. Then, before anyone could react, Linda stood. Heels clicked across the gym floor. She was moving too fast. "He attacked my son," she shrieked. The words slapped harder than she would. The crowd froze. Teachers turned. Parents craned their necks. Noah backed up a step. Linda didn't stop. She stormed up the stairs. Noah tried to say something. I saw his mouth move. Linda raised her hand. Her hand snapped across his, cheek like a whip. It echoed through the gym like a gavel dropping in a silent courtroom. Noah didn't fall, but he staggered. His note cards dropped. The model lay broken at his feet. And time stopped. He didn't cry, didn't scream. He blinked hard, like he was trying to stay conscious. His hands fluttered at his sides, a stimming pattern I hadn't seen since he was 7. And me. I moved. I crossed the floor, in 5 seconds flat, climbed the stairs, and put myself between her and my son. Linda didn't flinch. He lunged at Tyler. She said to the room, "You all saw it." No one spoke. He bumped the table. I said, ice, in my voice. "And you just hit a child in public." Linda pointed at Noah again. "You people always play the victim." My pulse spiked. I clenched my jaw so hard my molars clicked. "He's 11, I said, "and autistic. So that excuses violence." He didn't touch Tyler. Tyler sabotaged his project. "Your son is disruptive," she spat. "He doesn't belong here." I heard a woman in the crowd gasp. I turned to the principal, who had finally arrived, flustered, clipboard in hand. "Is there a problem?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Assault. Witnessed. Documented." Linda scoffed. "This is a misunderstanding. I barely touched him." We heard the slap from the parking lot. She laughed, that same brittle, practiced laugh she used at HOA meetings when someone questioned her power. Don't be dramatic. Kids these days are so sensitive. Noah was still on the floor, carefully picking up his ruined project. His hands trembled. His shoulders curled forward, like he wanted to disappear. "We're leaving," I said without looking at her. "You better not twist this into something it's not," Linda snapped. "I will go to the school board. I am the board. Then I guess we'll see who has more power." We walked out. No one stopped us, but no one stepped in either. The car ride home was silent until Noah spoke. "Did I do something wrong?" My heart cracked in half. "No," I said. "You did everything right." He stared out the window, still clutching a bent piece of his model, like it could be fixed with enough glue. That night, I filed every report I could, video clips, eyewitness quotes, a time-stamped write-up so detailed it could have passed as an FBI memo. The school responded with something worse than denial. They responded with equivocation. "We're treating this as a complex interpersonal situation. We're not interested in placing blame. Let's aim for healing." Linda. She posted about it on the neighborhood page, on the school Facebook group. She painted herself as the victim, claimed Noah threatened Tyler, and that she intervened as a mother. And the comments. They agreed. "She's always been firm but fair. Some kids just aren't cut out for mainstream education." I'd have slapped the little brat too. I didn't reply. I didn't comment. I didn't even text back the one mum who messaged me privately to say, "For what it's worth, I thought your son was very brave." Instead, I opened the filing cabinet in my office, pulled out a folder I hadn't touched in 8 years. Inside, my clearance ID, my federal credentials, a black badge clipped to a matte card with a line that said, "Do not photocopy." I laid it on the desk, let it catch the light. Then I opened my laptop, created a new file, Heart Incident 01. And just like that, the line between Dad and Agent blurred. Linda thought that slap was a win. She thought she'd silenced a child. But what she didn't know was that the man she humiliated had just reactivated a skill set he promised he'd never use again. And when I come for people, I don't start with noise. I start with evidence. There's a moment when you stop being angry and start taking inventory. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not even emotional. It's tactical. That moment came for me the second I opened the drawer, pulled out my badge, and laid it flat on the desk. No more waving at neighbors. No more nodding through Linda Hart's condescending HOA circulars. No more pretending this was just suburban friction. This was war. And I wasn't just a dad anymore, I was me. Phase 1. Identify the pattern. I started where I always do: paper trails, HOA filings, city permit requests, civil case searches, public meeting notes. And wouldn't you know it, Linda's name read like a sequel: secretary in 2015, vice president in 2016, president every year since. She co-signed budget approvals, parking restrictions, even neighborhood appearance resolutions. Her husband, Mark Hart, owned a Shell LLC, nothing flashy, just another name buried in small real estate flips. But then I saw it. 5 properties, all foreclosures, all acquired by Mark's LLC, after repeat HOA fines pushed the original owners into desperation. Pressure, punish, profit. Linda was weaponizing her position to strangle residents until they sold, and Mark swooped in like a vulture in business casual. It wasn't just dirty, it was a business model. Phase 2, gather intel. While Noah slept, I worked. I logged fines, captured screenshots, highlighted HOA clauses next to time-stamped ring footage. Every paper trail had its own folder. Every violation came with receipts. I wasn't just documenting harassment, I was preparing for court. Then I made a call. "Harris, it's me." "Holy hell," he said. "You calling from witness protection or the suburbs? What's the difference?" "Got something juicy. HOA president, targeted fines. Husband runs a shady flip business. Also, she hit my kid. Jesus, think it smells federal. Text me the names. I'll run it quietly. Thanks. You calling in your dad versus HOA arc? I'm calling in a favor. Then I hope she's got good lawyers and a priest." Phase 3, stay quiet. I didn't go public. Didn't snap. Didn't escalate. I waved. I smiled. I let Linda think the storm had passed. I even attended the next HOA meeting. She was chipper, fake friendly, greeted me like nothing ever happened. The rest of the board followed her lead, like synchronized swimmers in beige slacks. Then I raised my hand. "Quick question about the $14.0 labeled infrastructure beautification. Who was the contractor?" Linda blinked. "That's a standard maintenance line item. Sure, but which vendor? We're supposed to disclose anything over $5.0, so." "Right." Her voice tightened. "We can discuss this offline." "Perfect," I said, smiling. "Let's." She didn't smile back. That night, Noah had another nightmare. He called for me, panicked, and when I reached his room, he was sitting up with the lights on, holding his rocket plush. "I dreamed she was yelling again," he whispered, "and everyone just watched. It was just a dream," I said, "but it felt real." I tucked him in, stayed with him until his breathing evened out. Then I went back to my office and opened the file labeled Heart Incident 01. The next day, I got an envelope, no postage, no return address, just slid under our door like a threat or a gift. Inside, photocopies of emails, internal meeting notes, and one glorious quote circled in red ink: "Let's enforce stricter codes near the Johnsons. Maybe that'll motivate them." Bingo. Someone inside was cracking. I leaned back in my chair, heart thumping slow and cold. Linda wasn't just enforcing rules, she was targeting people. And now I had proof. Noah wandered into the office with warm milk, and that half-asleep look kids get when their bodies are tired, but their minds are still spinning. "You're still working?" he asked. "Just finishing up." He looked at my screen. "Are you mad at her?" "No," I said. "I'm focused." "Are you going to stop her?" "Yes." "Okay. Can I have pancakes tomorrow?" "Always." That night, I didn't sleep. I outlined the next phase: targets, weak points, legal entry routes, backup plans. This wasn't revenge. This was removal. I didn't want her embarrassed. I wanted her authority dismantled, her systems revoked, her credibility buried. I wanted her to watch everything she built collapse and know exactly who brought it down. Upstairs, I could hear Noah snoring softly peaceful, finally. And I wasn't going to let anyone take that from him again. I didn't just build a case. I built a trap. And all I needed now was for her to walk right into it. It started with sirens, not the loud kind, just that slow, casual bleep of a cruiser arriving like it had a reservation. I glanced out the window, 2 cops, 1 clipboard, 1 suspiciously blank expression. Noah was curled on the couch, sketching a satellite. He looked up and said, "Are they here for me again?" That sentence is why I still have to consciously unclench my fists when I remember this day. I opened the door. Calm as a cloud. "Officers. Morning. What can I do for you?" The tall one adjusted his belt. "Clipboard guy." The other gave me a once-over like he was waiting for me to twitch. "Sir, we received a report from a resident claiming you made a direct threat of violence during a recent HOA meeting. A threat. Specifically a statement implying you had access to a weapon. Also, a reference to retaliation." "Let me guess," I said. "Resident's name rhymes with Linda Hart." "Nothing. Tough crowd." "You mind stepping outside, sir?" I minded. I stepped. "Would you mind answering a few questions?" "Happy to. Just letting you know I'll be recording this interaction." I pulled out my phone, hit record. The taller one shifted his stance neutral, not hostile. The other still watching me like I might pull a bazooka and scream about lawn lengths. "Do you own a firearm?" "Nope." "Have you ever implied to anyone that you might use violence to resolve a neighborhood conflict?" "Nope." "Did you say the phrase he, her at the next meeting with any tone?" I said it while asking about a missing line item in the budget. "Did you say she wasn't fit to speak to children?" "Yes." "Did you say she was abusing her authority?" "That too." They jotted it down like I'd admitted to smuggling grenades. Then I handed them a folder. "Here's the incident report from the school, where she slapped my son in front of witnesses." "That wasn't in the original complaint," Clipboard said. "Weird." "And this," I handed over another page, "is a notarized statement from a parent who filmed it." Silence. Shifting feet. "We'll file this as a report of concern," Clipboard muttered. "No further action at this time." "Appreciated," I said. "You'll forgive me if I don't wave next time you pass." Inside, Noah was quiet, too quiet. He wasn't drawing anymore. He was just staring out the window. "You're not in trouble," I said, sitting beside him. "But she keeps sending people." That's what it felt like to him, not HOA notices, not neighbors, enemies. And that made me feel something I hadn't felt in years, not anger, resolve. Linda went full public relations mode that afternoon. She posted on Facebook, "It's terrifying when civility breaks down. I never imagined I'd feel unsafe in my own neighborhood, especially from someone sworn to uphold the law. Thank you to those who've reached out." Comment section. "A horror show. He always gave me weird vibes. It's always the quiet ones. I knew there was something off about him. We should call a community meeting about this." Just like that, she'd poisoned the well. She wasn't just trying to ruin my reputation. She was prepping the crowd for something worse. 2 days later, a manila envelope slid under my door, no stamped on, no return address. Inside, a printout of an internal HOA email chain, subject line, "Disruptive Resident Protocol." The contents, terrifying. "Let's begin finding him for aggressive tone based on April's audio. Also, flag the child as unsupervised again. That'll give us a safety clause. Once we hit 3 notices, we can escalate to legal counsel. Premeditated.coordinated.cold." I sat there, holding that page. Jaw locked so tight my teeth ached. I wasn't angry. I was done. There's a difference. That night, I pulled every HOA violation filed in the last 3 years, created a spreadsheet. Then I made calls to Miss Delaney, who'd been fined for putting potted plants too close to her steps, to the dad whose daughter's lemonade stand got hit for unlicensed commercial activity, to the veteran who had to take down his flagpole because it wasn't at HOA-approved height. One by one, they told me the same story. Linda never spoke to me. She just sent letters. I felt like I was being pushed out. 2 nights later, they came to my place, 7 neighbors, 2 bottles of wine, 1 vengeance spreadsheet. She fined me for wind chimes. Ron said, "Wind chimes. My wife can't sleep without them. She tried to evict me," Delaney added, "because my porch light was yellow instead of white. She said my son's soccer goal violated the lawn symmetry code." Another woman muttered, "These weren't neighbors anymore. They were co-conspirators." "What do we do?" someone asked. "We hold up a mirror," I said, "in public. At the gala." "You mean her HOA fundraiser, where she pretends she's the governor?" "Exactly. Let's give her the stage. Then take it back." The gala was Linda's crown jewel wine. Speeches, self-congratulatory awards. She gave herself under the guise of community recognition. This year's theme, building a legacy. Yeah, she had no idea. IRSVPD with a smiley face emoji. Then I made more calls to Harris, a zoning officer from the county, to a reporter I helped 10 years ago who still owed me dinner. I didn't need a megaphone. I needed a fuse and someone else to light it. Noah noticed I was working late. Is it your case? Kind of. Do I get to help? You already did. The day before the gala. Linda posted a countdown. So excited for tomorrow. Let's celebrate the power of community. The comments were all emojis and empty compliments. But she didn't notice the people who didn't like or comment anymore, the quiet ones. The ones gathering behind the scenes. The ones she'd trained to fear her. Until now, across the room, taped to my fridge, was Noah's latest rocket sketch. He labeled it Hope 1. That's what this was now, not revenge. Restoration. Linda built a kingdom of fines and fear. But when you turn an entire neighborhood into your enemy, you don't get to write the ending. We do. And tomorrow night, we were going to hand her the microphone and take her down while she was still holding it. The gala was Linda's crowning moment, a celebration of herself disguised as community pride, white drapes, folding chairs with gold ribbons, a podium wrapped in fairy lights, a banner that read, Legacy, one neighborhood, one vision. She wore cream silk and the smug stillness of someone who thought HOA bylaws should be etched into stone tablets. She wasn't just dressed for a party. She was dressed for ascension. I wore a blazer, and I brought Noah. You sure? I asked him as we parked outside. Yeah, he said, hugging his sketch pad tight. I want to see her face. Inside, the energy was sour, sweet neighbors chatting over wine, fake smiling between bites of catered shrimp. Some glanced at me with half-curious, half-worried expressions. Then Linda stepped up to the mic, like she was accepting a Nobel Prize for passive aggression. We've built something truly remarkable, she began, her voice syrupy and just loud enough. A neighborhood of excellence, of order, of vision. She looked around, paused for effect. Some people resist structure. They confuse freedom with chaos. But order keeps us safe. That last line aimed straight at me like a dart. So I stood. Sorry to interrupt, I said, raising my hand. Before we crown anyone HOA royalty tonight, I've got a few notes of my own. The room froze, like someone had pulled the plug. Linda's smile twitched. This isn't the time, actually, I said, walking toward the front. It's exactly the time. I placed a folder on the podium and looked out at the room, our neighborhood, before opening it. This is a record of every fine issued under Linda Hart's presidency, I said, flipping page 1. More than 60% of them were directed at just 8 households, all of whom ended up either selling or getting pushed into foreclosure. Gasps, jots, shifts in seats. This, I held up a second page, is a breakdown of properties her husband's LLC purchased. Same homes, same timeline, someone murmured. What the hell? And this, I let the final page linger, is a printed email, all verified. It states, and I quote, "Let's enforce stricter codes near the Johnsons. Maybe that'll motivate them." Linda lunged forward. "This is slander," she barked. "You're twisting things. It's documentation," I said coolly. "But I get why you'd confuse the two." She reached for the pages. I didn't move. "You're all just jealous," she snapped. "I built something real here. I made this place better." Then it started. Mr. Laney, cane in hand, stood up slowly. She fined me for keeping my recycling bin out for 6 minutes past the deadline. Ron followed. She cited us for wind chimes. My wife cried for 2 days. A young mom in the back spoke up. She called my daughter's lemonade stand a non-permitted business. It was a ripple. One by one, people stood calm, firm, just facts. And Linda, she backed up, palms out, eyes wide. "This is a setup," she shouted. "You're all turning on me." Then, a new voice cut through. "Actually," the woman said, stepping forward, mic in hand, "this is journalism." It was the reporter. Mic.live crew behind her, cameras rolling. "Miss S. Hart," she said, "can you confirm the connection between your HOA violations and your husband's real estate acquisitions?" Linda went pale. She turned to flee, only to find a clipboard and badge blocking the door. "Linda Hart," said the county compliance officer. "We need to talk now." She didn't finish her speech, didn't make it to the champagne toast, didn't even get to cut the cake. Within 48 hours, the board was dissolved. HOA policy was frozen. Fines were reversed. Linda's name was removed from everything. And Linda, she left quietly overnight. No goodbye post, no last meeting, no porch sale, just a "for sale" sign and silence. A week later, Noah was outside again, drawing. This time, not a rocket a home. Sidewalk chalk, neon colors, wide windows, and stars in the sky. He looked up at me. "She can't stop me anymore." "Nope," I said. "Not her, not anyone." He smiled. "Can I use glitter chalk? Go wild." He did. Fear built her kingdom. The truth brought it down. And now, we were finally free to live in